So this presentation is on building your online brand, and I'm Mr. Benjamin Ivy. I gave this presentation for the Design Summit in 2019 for the group at ASID, the American Society of Interior Designers. To get started, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself before I talk about building your online brand. One thing you've got to know about me is that I love cookies. I love cookies. Any kind of cookie that I can get my hands on, that's what I want. Chocolate chip cookies, Oreo cookies, I like soft cookies, I like hard cookies, anything. I get my love of cookies from this person. This is my mom. My mom is a connoisseur of cookies. She's not your typical grandmother who just makes cookies for her granddaughter and just bakes them on special occasions. No, no, no. She has entire books on making cookies. She scours the internets for the best recipes for cookies. She takes notes on making cookies. She is an expert cookie maker. And when she makes cookies, she puts a lot of thought and effort into them because she loves doing that. This is kind of her own personal story. It's her way of showing love to everybody. And so I was asking her, what does it take to make a really, really good cookie? Well, there's three things that you're going to look for. The first thing is you got to have the right recipe. Now you can find lots of recipes online. You can go on Pinterest, there's entire websites, there's even books you can get. Recipes can be found everywhere for any kind of cookie that you ever want. But it's not enough to have a good recipe. You've also got to have the second thing, and these are the right ingredients and quality ingredients. Because the ingredients that you put into a recipe is what makes the recipe truly unique. Now I can find any recipe. I can go to the store, I can buy just the basic shelf stuff, and I can make the cookies and have cookies. But if I want quality ingredients, that's really going to kick the quality of the cookie up an entire notch. For instance, did you know if you put more butter into a cookie, that it's going to make the cookie nice and soft? But if you want a really good crisp cookie, you can add more baking powder to it. If you add baking soda, the cookie will be light and fluffy. It'll actually pop up more. Not all chocolate is the same. If you add Hershey's chocolate, it's going to be okay. But if you add dark chocolate, higher quality cocoa content, it's going to taste much richer. You can even add salt that has a smoke flavor to it to add an even bolder flavor. The main thing is, regardless the recipe that you have, if you put more time and thought into the quality of the ingredients of your cookie, man, you're going to have a great cookie as well. But beyond having a good recipe and having good ingredients, you got to know the third thing. You got to know who are you making your cookies for. You see, it's not enough that you've got any recipe. You've got to know what the person likes. Like for me, if I wanted cookies, I like chocolate chip. But if I'm going to make a cookie for my wife, well, she's going to want snickerdoodle. If I make a cookie for my daughter, she likes frosting cookies with lots of sprinkles. So it doesn't matter if I find any old recipe. I've got to be able to find a recipe that matches the needs and wants of what they are going to want in a cookie. Now, of course, I'm not just talking about cookies for this presentation. I want to be talking about your online brand. But the truth of the matter is, all three of these things go into your personal brand as well. It's not enough to have a simple website. You've got to be able to optimize the ingredients that go into your website. You've got to think about every little detail and how to put quality into that part. But beyond that, once you get a website or even a logo or social media, whatever you want to put your brand into, you've got to be able to target it to the right person. And you've got to be able to format it in a way that they can find you, be able to reach you, and you can connect back with them. Now, specifically, I'm going to be talking about websites. And one thing I want you to know is you can find all of my stuff from my website, MrIvysClass.com. When I was asked to do this presentation, I was actually really, really glad to hear that they wanted to hear about websites and online branding, because it had been a while since I had updated my own personal brand and my own personal website. And so this gave me an opportunity to kind of practice what I preach and to also show you my thought process. So the second half of this presentation, I'm going to show you how I set up my website, give you some tips on some things to consider, but also some pitfalls to avoid once you get there. Also, if you visit my website, you can find all of the materials. You can download this PowerPoint presentation. You can even find this video straight from my website as well, if you'll find the link for all of my workshops. Now, in talking about websites, there's a couple of things that you can do if you ever have to make your own website. First off, you can code it yourself. Now, if you know anything about coding, you'll know that it's not an easy endeavor to do. But all websites have to be coded. You have to have programming. You've got to be able to reach others for this. And if you want to code it yourself, there's some pros and cons for being able to do this. If you've got the smarts and the training and the ability, I highly recommend trying to make your own website. It does give you full control over the process. You know exactly what you get. You can place your content. Your content is secure because you can choose the server that it goes on. A lot of people consider this the most cost-effective means. Now, I got a question mark there. We'll talk about why I would question that. But for the most part, if you're not having to hire somebody else to do it, or if you're not having to pay another company for their services on making a website, you can save some money by knowing how to program and set up your own stuff. But there is, of course, a downside if you wanted to program your own website, especially if you've ever done this before. You know it's time-consuming. It takes hours to be able to program a website. You got to know how to code as well. Learning code, there's a reason why it's called a programming language, because as learning any language, it takes time, it takes practice. And you got to be able to do it right, because if it's not programmed right, then you're going to have some problems. The kind of programming languages you need to know, you got to know HTML and CSS. If you want to add some interactivity to it, you got to know JavaScript. If you want to be able to store data on a server or do some fancy stuff, Python, JSON, PHP, all of these are different languages that you've got to master just to make your website work. And if you've ever programmed a website, one thing to know, especially about modern websites, if it looks good on your computer screen, you've also got to reprogram it and set it up so it looks good on every computer screen. This includes tablets, this includes your cell phone. And so if there's any problems, well, if you programmed it, the problems are up to you to be able to solve. And so if it doesn't look good on somebody else's screen, well, you're losing clients, you're missing the ability to connect to people, and it's going to take you more time to be able to fix this. Now, going back to the cost, of course, you know, if it's on your time, then it's not costing you anything. But if you're a professional, and let's say you get paid just $30 an hour, well, if you spend one day working on it, 6 hours, that's $180 that you've spent, or you could have earned, just making your own website. And you can't program a website in one day. So it's going to take a long time to do this. You're going to be actually spending probably $1,000 or more just to make your own website in your own personal time. That's time that you could be spending earning that much money. So it is cost effective, but if you think about it in the long run, sometimes it may not be the most cost effective. Here's another option that you can go for. Let's say you hired a web designer. Now, there are some excellent people out there. I highly recommend, if you've never met a web designer or if you don't know one, have one of these guys on call. If you hire them, they will take care of your problems for you. Usually you meet with them, they do all the coding for you, so you don't have to do it. They understand the needs of every single server, every single web browser, or at least a good one should. You meet with them, you get a great product, you get exactly what you pay for. Now, it is a little bit time consuming. Usually when you meet with a web designer, you need to have a game plan in order, you need to have a timeline in order. They'll show you different versions, and so if there's any problems or changes, you can catch up with that. But it is also expensive. Now, you're hiring a web designer for their professionalism, for their expertise in designing a website. And they're going to spend a lot of time, just as you would spend a lot of time on it. And so their time is valuable as well. They're giving you a product that it's an investment. This is something that you could potentially get hired and make money off of. And so they know they're adding value to yourself, your own personal brand. I've got a friend who works on the coast. He actually designs websites for a major resort, and they're multi-million-dollar deals. And so he's making websites that are beautiful, but also very, very effective at reaching people. And I asked this guy, how much would he charge just for a basic website? Bare minimum, doesn't have to be anything fancy. What's your minimum charge? And for him, a professional designer, he said about $2,000. And that's a lot of money, especially if you're a student or if you're just wanting something for your personal self. Maybe you don't want to drop that much money on it. So you can have an expensive website, but keep in mind it's an investment, it's a return. Now if you're a professional and you've got your own actual business that you're running, I highly recommend working with a web designer, because if you're making $50,000 a year on your own personal business or better, then paying $2,000 is a minimum investment within your own personal brand and your own personal business that you have. But then there's the third option, and this is the one that I'm going to talk about most today. Using an online platform. There are lots of great websites out there that make it very, very simple to set up your own website. You can design it exactly the way you want it to be. Usually they have lots of templates that you can start off with. They're usually very cost effective. Most of them can get you set up within less than $100 or about $100. They're pretty quick to use as well, especially some of the better ones. What you see on the screen is exactly the way it will show up on everyone's website. In making my website, I was able to rough out and put together everything within a weekend, if not within a day. Plus, the best part is you don't need to code. All of the coding's already pre-done for you. What you're seeing on the screen is everything that's built up to make it look exactly the way it should be. And so there's a team of people that work for these online platforms that if a problem comes up, they are the solution to it. If anything new comes along, they implement those new things. And a lot of these have some great customer service to work with. Now there is a downside to even using these online platforms. First of all, usually if you choose one of them, all of your content, all of your stuff is saved on their servers, which means if the company goes out of business, you may lose your website, or if their servers go down, you may lose that. Sometimes there's some copyright issues as well, but for the most part, that's okay. The other thing is, a lot of people consider these online platforms to be not professional. Here's what they mean by that. Especially if you're a web programmer, you want to make a nice, clean, simple website that can display exactly what you want without any extra bulky code. And you also want it to be able to be found by search engines like Google and Bing and Yahoo. Well, a lot of times these online platforms, they're not optimized to do that. They're simply there to give you a quick and simple website as fast as possible. But that's the kind of the older way of thinking of it. In my experience, these online platforms are getting much, much better. Much better at search engine optimization where you can be found. They're getting much better with their code. If any problems or anything new comes up, they're usually right on top of it. So I've actually found a lot of personal and professional artists and designers using them for their own websites. So the stigma of it not being professional is kind of going away, but it's still there. Again, if you're a working professional, if you've got your own business, if you're investing in yourself already, this is a great starting point. But there's also other options for hiring a graphic designer or even knowing how to do it yourself. Now for this presentation, I'm going to be using an online platform, and there's lots of different options that you can choose from. These are the four biggest ones that are out there already: WordPress, Squarespace, Wix, and Weebly. Each one of them kind of has their advantages and disadvantages. Each one of them works slightly different, but they all in the end do exactly the same thing. I've got students who use WordPress for their own personal websites. Works fantastic. They love WordPress. WordPress has a lot of great online communities that you can connect with, a lot of extra plugins. If you're really interested in getting into coding and want to know the nitty-gritty of how to build your website, you can't do any better than WordPress. Now, if you want to do no coding, have it really set up for you, nice and simple, Squarespace is awesome. I've got several students who have their own personal Squarespace options. Wix.com is another excellent service as well. They've got tons of templates that you can look through, make it very, very easy to set up and use. The final one is Weebly. Weebly is kind of the smaller one. I'll be honest with you, if I was to choose these, this would be my last option. If I was making something, say for like my high school band, or if my grandmother wanted a website for her sewing class, something simple, I would go with Weebly. But Weebly is the one that I wouldn't be my first option. The one I'm going to do for this presentation, I'm going to show you Wix.com. The reason I chose Wix is because it has excellent templates. It was really, really easy to use. They step you through the entire process. And it was one of the more cost-effective ones. Probably the most cost-effective would be WordPress. Squarespace is a little bit more than Wix, but Wix had hit that good zone that offered you plenty of services, but also at a really, really good, fair, competitive price. Now, when you use Wix, it's completely free to use just to get started. Like, you can go in and you can set up your entire website. You can have it up and running, all of your links, put your portfolio on there, upload logos and pictures, completely free. They operate on what's called a freemium model. Now, they get you in, they get you to set up your website. But the downside is, if you really want to go professional, if you want to have your own personal domain, if you want to remove any advertisements, they're going to put ads on there. If you need any extra support, you're going to have to pay for this. And so this is how they make their money. They want you to get in and actually use it, get used to using the tools and see how good they are, and then become a member later. I recommend this for most students or most people who are just trying to start their own website, just to see what they can do. There's no downside to just trying it out and testing it out. If anything, you can close it out completely. It's not going to be online at all. But if you like it and you got something that you want and you need to work quickly, it's an excellent service to be able to use and also to subscribe to and become a premium member. When you go to Wix, when you go to most of these websites, they're going to give you a basic landing page. You can click to start your own design. Their designs work really well for both your computer and also your mobile device. They'll ask you several questions to figure out what kind of website you're interested in. They'll show you tons and tons of templates. You can scroll for days looking at these templates. You can scroll over them, see what they look like, get a look and feel for them, and then once you're ready, you can edit the website and jump into it and start creating. It really is a very, very simple way of setting it up. But now, going back to my original analogy about making cookies, you can go in and find tons of websites anywhere. But what good is a website if you don't have quality ingredients, right? You've got to know exactly what to put into it to make it look good, to make it connect with people, and you've got to be able to reach out to these people. You've got to give people exactly what they want. And so making a website and having an online presence, an online brand, it's a lot like making cookies. You've got to put a lot of thought into it. Online branding is essentially you telling your story. And so what story do you want to tell? How do you want people to perceive you? What kind of person are you? Because you're constantly telling a story. You're telling a story, are you a professional? Are you fun? Are you the kind of person who's dependable? Or are you the opposite of all of that? Right now, chances are you're actually working on your story. Right now, you've probably got lots of little story elements that you can start to incorporate in your own personal brand. If you're on social media, you're connecting with people. You're already sharing content. If you're a student, then you've got school projects, or you've got internships, or you're starting to develop your own little portfolio. Certainly having your resume is a big part of connecting with people and telling your story. Having your own logo or your own brand identity is a big part of it as well. Even going to things like the ASID conferences and networking with other working professionals. All of that goes into who you are and the story that you want to tell. It all goes into making your own little cookie. And all of that has to have really good ingredients. Plus, you've got to understand who you're trying to reach out to. Here's an activity that I do with my students. I start off by asking them, what do you do? Have you ever thought about this? What do you do as a professional right now? The way you answer this says a lot about how you've thought about who you are and the kind of people you want to work for, or at least the kind of people you want to connect with. In the business, this is called giving your blurb or your tagline or even your elevator pitch. An elevator pitch is if you imagine yourself going to a company you want to be hired for and you get stuck in the elevator on the first floor with like the company president. And so you've got from the time it takes to get from the first floor to the top floor to pitch them why they should hire you. And so whenever somebody asks you, what do? You need to be able to quickly come up with a very short, brief summary that really drives home who you are and what you do. Think about this for a minute. What do you do? Why would you answer this question? What would you say? All right, let me give you some guidance on how to think about this. I break this question down really into 3 questions. So also take some time. You can pause this video, write down the answers to these 3 things. What do you do? How would you sum it up? Then also, who do you do it for? Who's the people you want to work for? Who are the people closest to you that you see yourself really working with daily? And the third question is, what are those people going to get from you? Now, don't think of this in a really lazy way. So like if you're a graphic design student, you can say, well, I'm a design student for my teachers and I give them assignments. Think specific about these. Go into detail. Put yourself in their shoes and try to think of yourself as a business. How would you answer this? Pause the video and take some time. Answer these questions. Now for me, here's how I would answer it. Of course, I'm a graphic design teacher, and so what I do and my target audience is going to be different from yours. But if I had to look at this, I teach graphic design, I teach branding and professional art practices. Very quickly, succinctly, that kind of sums up what I do. Who do I do it for? I teach students, I teach other teachers, I do workshops for professional organizations, and so these are the people that I really want to connect with, and these are the people I want to reach out to. What do they get from me? Well, they'll get a degree. If you come take my classes, you can get you a college degree. But beyond that, I give job training. I try to teach really cool tricks that you can do online and on the software. If you need credits for your own personal business, I can do that. I'm giving you valuable skills for your career. So for me, this is how I would answer these questions, very, very briefly. Yours can be longer. Once you've got this thought about, then you can start to type it out in a way, in a perspective that sounds more like a narrative. And I try to keep it between 10 to 15 words. Here's how I would phrase it. So take what you've written down for yourself and fill in these blanks. I help who? Do what? So that they can, here's the way it would look for me. I help educate students, teachers, and organizations about professional design so they can be successful at their job. Now that's my first draft. It's a little bit wordy, so I kind of went back to it and I made it a little bit better, and then I say my passion is teaching professionals about design so that they can reach the next level of their career. So there it is. I started by looking at the ingredients of what I do. I wrote it down, I thought about it, thought it out, saw it on paper, and then I came back to it and I refined those ingredients. And I got better and better until finally now I've got a really great succinct blurb, an elevator pitch. Man, if somebody asked me what I do and I gave them this answer, that's going to really set me off. It's more than just saying, well, I'm a teacher. Oh, well, I lead classes, I teach graphic design. No, man, my passion is teaching professionals. They can reach the next level of my career if you hire me. This is the way you should be thinking about your own personal brand. And this is just one aspect of it. Things like your logo, things like your portfolio, your resume, even the people you network with. Put effort and thought into the ingredients that go into your personal brand. So what story do you want to tell? And how can you incorporate all of this into your design? Now the second part of this, let's get into the fun part, actually building out your website. I'm going to jump into Wix, and I'm going to show you how I would think about this, maybe some pitfalls, maybe some things that you should avoid, but definitely how to get the most out of your website and your online content. The three things that I want you to kind of keep in mind is I'm going to show you how to format your content. If you're going to be putting stuff online, you definitely want to be the best presentation possible. It's just like a portfolio, it's just like a resume. As a matter of fact, I would argue it's the most important thing because this is what people are going to see first. Also, I'm going to talk about SEO. This is called search engine optimization. You want to be able to be found online. And people are going to go and they're going to Google your name, they're going to Google your portfolio, and being able to be found online is a big deal. And so SEO is how does Google and how does Yahoo and Bing actually find you? And there's a way you can set up your website to be top of the list, first page on Google. And then also I'm going to show you how I would finish this up and actually how to launch it if you've never made your own website and how to go from here. So I'm going to take a break and we'll pause this up and we'll jump into Wix and show you how I created this. Alright, so this is my website. Now in creating my website, this is still kind of a work in progress. There's a lot of little things that I would love to continue to tweak and do a little bit better. But I want to show you how I set it up and some things that came into it. The first thing that you want to do whenever you do a website is to start to collect the important information, and I like to keep it in a folder. Everything from my profile pictures, artworks, any logos, my resume information, anything that you want to have online, go ahead, collect it all together, type it up, get it ready so that when you go to make your website, everything is nice and right where it needs to be. Some of the things that you do need to have. So for instance, I've got a profile picture, one of the first things you see of me when they go online. For profile pictures, I've got several options that I can pick and choose from. Each one of these kind of appeals to a different audience. So like I've got my professional headshot that I can use, and I like to use these. As a matter of fact, whenever I do a new workshop or I go to a different conference, I always change out my profile picture, not just on my website, but also on all of my social media. And I've got a couple of different ones to pick and choose from. This is one I like to use on my Twitter. This is another alternate one. Professional headshot. This one I took myself, but those are things I can quickly pick and choose from. Now, since I teach art and I do a lot of digital illustration, I do a lot of work with artistic kind of people, I've also got some fun artsy kind of profile pictures. Here's one that's a digital illustration of me. Here's another digital illustration. Now these are fun and unique and different. They may not be appropriate for all different audiences, and so I kind of pick and choose which one is appropriate at the time, but it definitely shows my personality. Another thing that shows my personality is a simple family picture. It doesn't have to be just you. Show people who you are as a person, and if I want to sell myself or brand myself as a family guy or a person who takes care of others, and I love my family and I want to show people my love for my family, then I've definitely got a picture that I love using with my two girls. One kind of picture to avoid, even if it looks good, are older pictures. Now this is a picture of me on my wedding day, and it's several years old. I have grown a beard since then, I've gained a little weight since then, I've lost a little hair, and even though it's a good picture to start off with, because it's outdated, I wouldn't want to have this as my current picture. Have something that's been taken usually within the last year or two. If it's beyond that, consider getting yourself a new headshot, take a new picture, go find someone who can help you out with that. But give yourself a couple of options. The second thing is about the artwork. Now if you're going to have an online portfolio, you definitely want to have good quality artwork. For the sake of time, I'm not going to go into all of my artwork, but I do want to show you a couple of things to keep in mind whenever you do this. First of all, always try to have a series of photos that you can group together within a project. For instance, this was a project that I took on myself. I designed a menu for Gigi's Southside. Now, I didn't just do the menu for them. I wanted to see what this would look like on the front and the back. I did some mock-ups, here it is, to see what it would look like once it's printed off. And I did some extra little bits. So I was given some photographs, I did some photoshopping. All of this can go into one portfolio page, and so it makes the page look really good to have lots of content. More than just showing one picture of just the project, give yourself several pictures. Take pictures of any sketches that you do. Take pictures of any extra bits that go into this. I didn't draw these actual illustrations, but if I did, those would be part of this page's presentation. Give yourself the best possible scenario for the work that you have. The other thing to consider is the size of your files. Now, if I was to pull up the file size for this Gigi's, I can see this image, though it's nice and big, it's only 1.5 or less than 1.5 megabytes. That's not bad for an online content. Usually you want to keep your images below 2 megabytes. This is because whenever somebody pulls up your artwork, especially if it's on a cell phone, you don't want it to take forever to download. And if you've got images that are huge, then Wix or whatever website that you're using, it's not going to downsample it. It's not going to change the resolution. It's simply going to take a long time for them to upload. So be aware of the file sizes that you have for your information. If you don't know how to find the file size, usually on most computers now, you can look at them in list view, and one of the options is you can see the files from here. Now, I've got a couple of these that are obviously over 2 megabytes, and some of them are really, really big. Let's take this one. So I've got an ice cream logo that I created. This one's over 2 megabytes. It's a nice big image. It's probably bigger than it needs to be for a website. So what I want to do is I need to be able to scale this down so that it looks better for web content. I'm going to open this up in Photoshop. You can do this in most image editors. I'm used to using Photoshop, but if you ever need to scale it down or see the size of it, go up to Image, down to Image Size, and this will pull up the image size options for the image that you have. Now, I know for a fact that this is closer to 2 megabytes, so don't let this 7.12 megabytes fool you. That's how many megapixels it is. But check out the size of this. It's 21 inches wide and roughly 21 by 21 tall. Resolution is actually not bad, but I can probably scale this down to something about half the size, and we'll see what it would be. So instead of 20, let's go for 10 inches. I've got them linked 10 by 10. Since they're linked, the height and the width will stay proportional. I can say OK to this. Now it does look small on the screen, but keep in mind, that's because I'm zoomed in. Now if I go to save it, go up to File and Save, let's look at the size of this outside of my document. There it is, less than a megabyte. Same image, slightly smaller, but it's probably more appropriate for the size of your screen. That looks much, much better. Another thing is, a lot of people ask, well, what size do images need to be on a website? There is no dimensions, height and width that you can give. Really, it's about how much, how many megabytes big it is. And if it's pushing 2, that's a little bit too much. Here's another example. Let's go back into this mode. I've got a Photoshop file. I do digital illustration, and this Photoshop file is over 60 megabytes. Now, the reason why it's 60 megabytes is because it's a nice high-resolution image. It's a large image. It's something that I would want to print out. And so for printing, this is actually okay to do. But for an online website, it's not okay. Let me show you an even quicker way of getting a lower resolution. I could open this up in Photoshop and then go to Image and adjust the sizes, but that would take a long time if I've got a lot of stuff. Here's what Mr. Ivy would do. Pull it up on your screen as big as you can, or whatever size you want it to be. Let's say I like it this size. Maybe I'll zoom out a little bit more. Once you've got it on your screen, learn how to take a screenshot. A screenshot lets you take a picture of just part of your screen. Now, if you're working on a Macintosh, it's Shift-Command-4. When you do this, notice that your cursor turns into a little crosshair. And then from here, you can click and drag over the exact area that you want, and it'll save up a little screenshot of exactly what was on the screen, the area that you selected. In my case, it'll save it to the desktop. Give it just a second to save up. There it is. And now I've got a good lower quality screenshot. Let's see how many megabytes this one is. Getting the information, hey, I've got a 60 megabytes, down to 7 megabytes, closer to 8 megabytes. Still, it's a pretty good sized image. But from here, I can then take it into that screenshot into Photoshop, and I can dial it in exactly what I want it to be. Or I could make this even smaller and save it this way. For this particular one, if I go to my image size, you can see there it is, 14 by 10. My resolution is pretty high. I bet I can bring that resolution down to 72, and that'll give me a much smaller but still good screen quality resolution. Let's look at this one now. Get the info, there it is, right at 2 megabytes. If you're on a Windows computer, to take a screenshot, I do believe you can hold down the Windows button and then hit the print screen button, and that will take a screenshot of everything that's on your screen. But take some time, optimize the artwork that you're going to be saving. A lot of times when I look at student works, the images that are on there simply take so long to load on their website because they're huge files. Don't put big files on your website. Keep them small, keep them consistent. I'm going to place this one into my artwork as well. Be sure to name your stuff appropriately so that you can quickly find it, but also you'll see when you upload it to the website, that's going to come in handy. So I'm going to call this Beetle Painting, and it was a PNG file. As far as file types go, most things that are on a website are either a JPEG, .jpg, or a .png file. And there's an advantage to using both of these. This advantage is best illustrated if you need logos on your website. So I've got a couple of logos that I can use. If you have your own personal logo, it's best to save a logo as a PNG file. This is because a PNG can have transparency to it. A common problem is that they'll save it as a JPEG and then it'll have a white background, but let's say you've got your website has a unique color to it. Here's how I'd illustrate it. So if I was in PowerPoint, got my presentation right here, we'll move it over. If I put this ASID logo, it's a PNG, into my PowerPoint, you can see how the background of it isn't white. It's actually taking on whatever background color I have with this one. But if I do my Mississippi College logo, this is a JPEG. Well, I can't get rid of the white on here. JPEG doesn't support transparency. And so I need to be able to convert this or change this over to a transparent PNG. Here's how to do that. If you're in Photoshop, open up your JPEG image into Photoshop. Here we go here. And here's how I would get rid of the background, or the white, at least for this one. Go to your Layers panel, and you'll notice that your logo is going to be the background layer. If you'll click on the little lock, that'll unlock this and turn it into a regular layer. From here, choose the little FX down at the bottom, and we're going to open up the blending options for this layer. Now, there's a lot of fancy stuff you can do with this. I'm going to keep this very, very simple. At the bottom of your blending options, look for this layer, blending if. By dragging the white cursor to the left, this is going to get rid of any light colored, or in our case, white colored pixels. Watch what happens. We'll click on it and drag it to the left, and almost instantly it becomes transparent checkerboard. To further refine this, you can hold down the Option key or the Alt key on your Windows computer, and you can dial in that white edge and get it nice and perfect. So if you see a little white edge around any of your letters, hold down your Option key and you can give it a little bit better range. That's it. That's all that you need to do to remove the white of any JPEG that you have. I can say OK to this. Now to save this, I'm going to go up to File and Save As. And I'm just going to change my format from Photoshop to PNG. There it is there. We'll hit Save. Under the PNG options, just make sure that you got a nice large format. And now let's see if we can place our PNG file in here and test it out. Here's our new MC logo. And there it is, saved with transparency. Pretty cool? The other thing is, if you've got an Adobe Illustrator file or a vector file, so here's my own personal logo. I'm going to open this up in Illustrator. Here's how to save an Illustrator file or an Illustrator logo as a transparent PNG. I'm going to select just this top one. This is the only one that I really want to save. With it selected, you can right-click on your artwork and then choose Export Selection. With the selection made, you can see I've already done this once. It's going to select just the artwork itself, and check out the options that we have here. First of all, it's going to save it in a little folder on my desktop. I've got several different formats I can quickly choose from. I like to choose the PNG 8. This is a little bit higher quality. And the other thing you can do is you can save it as multiple different sizes. Right now it'll save it as whatever native size it is now. But if I need a larger version, I can choose a 2 times or twice the size or 3 times the size, or I can even dial in a specific height and width that I want as well. If I do this, maybe I want to add a suffix. We'll do it, no suffix for this one, but letting me know what size it is, or I can do this one at 100 px. When I do export asset, it's going to take the artwork, like I said, save it into a folder. Now I've got it on my desktop, and now I've got my assets saved as their own separate different sizes. Each one looks like it was in its own separate folder, so I'm going to open these up and use these logos within my design. So let's select all of those, place those within here as well. So these PNG files are what I can add to my website. They've got transparency and they look really, really good. The other thing you need to do is be sure to save them as a variety of different colors as well. The final thing that I have available is my resume. Now this has lots of great information that I definitely want to have online as well. Everything from my website links to my education and work experience. I even have a little write-up blurb that tells about me, and I can copy and paste that into here as well. This is often a very good starting point for the content that I want to put onto my website. Anything else that you feel is appropriate, you can certainly put in there as well, but put thought and effort into the things that you want to design, especially if it's the kind of thing that you're connecting with other people. So, going back to my website, I'm going to go to my Wix Dashboard. Looks like they will give me a little advertisement. We'll close that one out. When you log into Wix and create your own account from here, the first thing it's going to show you is your dashboard and all the different sites that you've already created. In my case, I've got one site already done. I'm going to go to My Sites, and I'm just going to create a new site. And this is going to take me all through the starting process that you would face as well. It's going to ask you a couple of questions to know about the kind of site that you want. For most people, especially if you're in this particular workshop, you're probably wanting to create a portfolio or a curriculum vitae website. Wix does allow you to use their automated system, or you can do your own creation from here. I'm just going to pick and choose from a template. I do want to give you fair warning. There are thousands of templates to look at and to choose from. You can scroll for days and look at all of these, and they're all great, great templates. You can either go over here on the side and see different areas. The truth of the matter is, any one of these templates could be appropriately used. And don't let the photographs and the layout that you see fool you. Everything is completely editable. So if you click on a template, first of all, click on View, and so you can see exactly what the template looks like. You can click on all of the links and go through and see how they've set up this particular one. Up at the very top, we'll close this one out. Up at the very top, you can also swap over to a mobile device and see what this would look like on your phone or any other smaller screen. This is very, very important. Don't forget that you're designing not just for a large laptop screen computer. Most people are going to start looking at your stuff on their computer, and it's got to look good here. It's got to function really well here as well. Going back to the other one. All of this is editable. So even though the colors on here may not be the colors that I like, even though maybe you don't like the roundedness here, you want to add your own logo, you can do it. Totally fine. Just think about this as a basic grid, as a starting point. What could you do to go back from this? Of course, if you don't like this one, simply close it out. Find the one that you do like, click View. Definitely have something that fits your personality and something that you can see yourself adding on to. Some of these websites have things that you may not want. Some of these may have things that are laid out in a way that you don't necessarily need. I'll give you an example. So here's a great portfolio website. On this website, it's just their portfolio, their work as their main page. Very simple, very clean. But if you're like me, I want to have a picture of myself on here. I want to have a little place I can write up about this. And for here, I got to go to the About page to find this. That's not a bad thing. This one also has a blog. So if you wanted to start your own blog and add content on a regular basis, this is already here and set up for you as well. But if you don't want to do a blog, this may not be the template that you would want to use. You can either get rid of it or you can add it back in later. And Wix does make it easier to do this one. For the purposes of this is the template that I chose for my personal website. I like the layout of it. It kind of has a good starting point, but here's what I would do to make it my own personal thing. So I've got it. I'm going to edit this site. Next thing it's going to open up is the Wix website editor. Now, Wix makes it very simple to do this. They want it to almost be intuitive on how to create this. They've got everything nice and lined up, nice and gridded. At the top is my header, and your header is where you can have all of the content that you want to connect to. In the middle is the body of my page, and now at the very bottom is my footer, and the footer is going to show up on all of the pages. My header is going to be the same on all of my pages as well. And so this is the kind of thing that I would need to know about first. Make sure whatever you have up here, it's going to look the same. Whatever you have down here, it's going to look the same on all of your websites. I'm going to zoom in so I can also see this a little bit better. Let's jump in and actually start changing up some of the content. If you go over to your left-hand side, I'm going to upload some of the things that I already have saved on my computer. So I'm going to go to My Uploads, and in my case, I want to choose this first one to upload my media. This is where I want to place all of my pictures that I have on my desktop. Bear with me one second. Let's find those folders. So I'm going to pull in my profile pictures, select them all, drag those onto here. Give it just a second to upload everything from here, and you can see they'll all come in nicely from here. And there's that one. One thing I love about Wix especially is that it'll automatically add some tags. It's going to recognize what's inside of your photos. So it sees, hey, there's forehead, facial hair, chin, mustache. You can add your own tags to this as well. Actually, I recommend doing this so that you understand that this is a profile picture. So maybe I'll select all of these, and whoops, can't do it from all. We got to do it one at a time. We'll select this one, we'll edit the tags, and I'll add my own profile pic to that one. It does give some basic actions like cropping and adjusting the colors, all of this thing. You can play around with those as well. But let's say I wanted to add one of these pictures to the main photograph. Now that I've got it uploaded, I can close it out. I want to select this picture of this lady. So she's just the default model from here. To change up anything, they've got these tools at the very top. You can change up the design of it. In my case, I just want to change the image. So let's pick one of these pictures. I'll use my main profile picture. We'll choose that image and it will place inside of here. If I don't like the circle, I can change it to another thing. If I go under the Design tab for this one, this will give me a variety of different pre-defined frames. Some are better than others. So if I like this one, I can select it, or I can choose to customize the design of it and change up even the border of it. So if I don't want a white border, I can select this and choose any other color that's within my palette, even some predefined colors for this one. Once I like that, I can close it out. Hey, let's pull in my logo as well. So if I don't want this up here, select it. All that is just a little text box. I can delete it away. Again, let's go to My Uploads, and let's upload some more content. Do notice that if you've got content on your social media, Facebook, Instagram, even if you've got things saved on your Google Drive or Dropbox, you can pull those in as well. That makes it really, really easy to connect your content from other places to online. Let's go and get those logos. In my case, I want my personal logo. So here's Mr. Ivy. I've got a variety of different options to it. I think this one will work well. I know for a fact it's going to be larger than is necessary. But I can click Add to Page. By default, it's going to place it right here in the middle. I'm just going to drag this down and resize it, and I'm going to place it up here at the top. Notice that it gives me a warning that I'm attaching this to the header. The header is going to be the same on all of my pages, and so I want my logo to be nice and up here as well. Another thing, and this is kind of a problem with Wix, whenever you go to resize it, it kind of starts to clip and crop out the areas that I want. I don't necessarily want that. If that ever happens to you, simply go to the settings and then change to reset the image. And that'll reset it and uncrop it down to the size that it needs to be. That looks really good. Hey, even if I wanted to change the colors on this, I can go to my filters, open this up, and these are some just previous default filters that I can click and choose from that'll give me some different options. Some are a little bit funky, some are a little bit more better. I like this, this gold look, and so I'll go for this one. Speaking of gold, speaking of colors, you can change the color of all of your website as well. I recommend doing this to fit the needs. Don't think you have to be stuck with just the basic colors that are here. If I wanted to, let's change the background of my page. In the background, Wix gives you a variety of different stock images and stock videos that you could actually incorporate as a background or as anywhere you need a picture. For mine, I'm going to click on color. These are the default colors that come with this particular theme, and so they're nice and bright and cheery. I can scroll over it and see what it would look like if I changed it to that kind of different color. But if I wanted to change this out to something that fit more of my brand, I can click on Change at the very top. I can choose another color palette, and these are some predefined color palettes. So let's say I like something like this. We'll say Done to that. Or I can pull my color picker up again. I can add my own colors. Just click on Add Color and you can dial in exactly what you want from here. Let's say I wanted something that was a little bit more of a bluish tint. Just be aware that if you're going to do dark colors, you need to update the color of your text as well so that your text is nice and noticeable. I'm not saying I like this, but hey, there it is. Nice, dramatic, very easy to change up. Notice even the colors of all my other stuff changed as well. And we'll set that off. As far as buttons go, so if I've got this here, resume, work, skills, these are automatically going to go to my other pages that I have set up. If I need to change a button, I can click on it. I can change up the text on here. So if I wanted to go to my, instead of my resume or my work, I wanted to go to my YouTube page or my portfolio page or something like this. As far as the design goes, they've got a bunch of predefined styles for their buttons. You can choose a style that you like. Let's say I like this rounded corner one. So I'll choose that as my style. I could even customize this style further. I can change the colors of it. Let's choose a color that fits my new theme. I can change the roundedness of the corners. This is really cool. Let's say I wanted to round off just one corner. I'm going to unlink this one. We'll set each of these top, bottom, left, and right corners to 0. And so now I've got this kind of one-edged curved off this way as well. Add drop shadows, change out the text. If I want my text to be a different font, boom, there it is. Change it up to that particular font as well. Go wild, change it up, play around with it. This is the kind of thing that's very, very customizable. The next thing is you're going to be faced with having to put text onto your website. What do you put? A lot of people, they'll make it look really good, but when it goes to the content of their text, they have no clue what to put. Well, here's my little introduction. Hey, I just typed up a nice blurb that would go great as an introduction to say who you are and what you do. I'm going to jump back into my PowerPoint presentation. Let's find that blurb. Let's use this as my design. We'll copy it over, jump into here. From here, there's a couple of things to note. Whenever you select your text, you've got some headings chosen as the default sizes to this. Now, if I'm a search engine, I'm going to be looking for these headings that are either heading 3, 2, or 1. These mean they're titles. Like if you're reading a newspaper and you want to know very quickly what all the different articles are about on the newspaper, you're going to look at the heading. Search engines are going to look at headings. So whatever text that you put on there, make sure it's got this heading tag set to it so that a search engine will be able to find you and be able to put you higher in rankings for here. I'm going to select this away. I'll paste in, way too big. So let's change up the size of that. We'll bring it back down, something a little bit more manageable. There it is. I can say, hi, I'm Mr. Ivy. Or I'm Ben Ivy. Mr. Ben Ivy. There we go. As with any text editor, you can make things bold. You can change the colors of it. make that stand out really good. Actually, I like the idea of doing this. I'm not saying this looks good, I'm just kind of real quickly showing you how this can be thrown together and make those particular changes as well. Hey, if I want to add more content to this, let's say I wanted to do something like a simple portfolio or a gallery showing. I've got it on this page. If you go back over to your content on the left side, you can add different things to here. And there's a variety of different stuff. So if you need just a basic headline or another body copy, here's some text that you can add. You can add individual images. What I like to use is a gallery. A gallery is a way of taking a whole group of photographs, and Wix or whatever website you're going to use will automatically place those in a nice little compact area that makes it fun to click on and interact with. I'm going to choose just this first one, the Pro Gallery. Actually, no, let's do the Masonry Gallery. With the Pro Gallery, this is going to take your images and crop them down to be square. I want to keep them all their native resolution, height, and width, and so I'm going to choose this one. With it selected, you can click and drag it onto here, and automatically, let's make sure it does it again. There we go. Give it a second just to update. Get rid of the second one. And automatically, I can start to place it, and you can see how it updates the height and width of my website. Now this one, it's obviously not going to the edges of my page, and so if I want to scale it out at the very top, I can stretch it. I can either stretch it to fit the full width of it, so if I chose this, this would go all the way across my entire website, or I can keep things inside of the boundaries of my margins. So let's say I wanted to bring my margins in a little bit more, or better yet, I can manually set it up this way. Regardless what I do, you can see how it automatically resizes the content of everything in here. In this case, it's going to shuffle it around and make things fit. Pretty cool. The other thing about this, it's going to give you some default images. This is where you need to go into managing your media, and you can actually place the exact content that you want for this image. So let's say I wanted to get rid of several of these. Just hit the trash can, we'll throw those away. I'm going to go to add some media. In my case, I can do images. By the way, you can do your own videos. You can add just text. Let's upload some media from here. And here's where I'm going to go back into my website. Let's add some artwork that I have. So I've got Gigi's, I've got paintings. All of those are saved up. Place them in here, give them just a second to upload. And the best part about this particular gallery is I want to choose just the images I want from my gallery. I don't want all of these on here. They're also saying, hey, we identified these faces. You want to do it? For me, I'm going to say no, just for the sake of time. Close it out. Don't care about that. But I want to pick and choose the images that I want to put in my gallery. So I'm going to choose this one, and we'll do this one as well. Can add it to the page, and this is going to automatically update my image down here. Now if I want my stuff to be at the top, I can change out the order of it. We'll put those first, and just for the sake of having something in here, I'll keep some of these default ones on here as well. Now if you ever upload images online, here's some things to know about it. I've got this one selected, so this is my little ice cream logo. Do make sure that you're describing your logo. Give it a title. In our case, we'll get rid of the PNG. So this is my ice cream logo. And give it a description. This is going to describe what it looks like or what it's about. As far as a description goes, I like to use either a brief description saying this is a simple logo I did for my grandmother, or I use the STAR technique, doing the situation, S-T-A-R. Situation, task, action, and the response. Here's what I mean by that. The situation. So why did I create this? So this was a logo, a personal logo created for my grandmother, My grandmother likes ice cream, so I made her own logo. The task. So this was what research went into developing this. What did you do before you actually started making this? I researched different logos for foods and color schemes. Simple as that. The action, I used Illustrator to vectorize the logo, and I used Photoshop to add details. The response, so this is what, how did people like it? What did people think about it? How was it used? Was it put on websites? Was it printed? Those kinds of things. What feedback did you get from it? As far as the feedback goes, my grandmother loves it. Let's see. I'll just leave it at that. If you are linking to another page or anything, you can add a link. For this one, we'll keep it there. We'll say done for this one. Now, once I start adding content to this, the other thing I can do is I need to preview and see what it looks like. Right now, this is not a functioning website. I'm still in the editor. So I'm going to go up here to the very top. We'll hit preview. And so now I can see exactly what my website is. If I click on this, this is going to open up the image, or at least it should open up the image. I'll tell you what, we'll go back to the editor and let's see what went wrong. Hitting preview again. Notice that I can scroll over it. We'll click on it and it's not working. Tell you what, let's figure out why this isn't working. We'll click on my gallery. Let's go to the settings. The settings for your gallery says what happens whenever they click on this particular page. Now I've managed the media, it's already there. The layout of it, again, you can change out what kind of gallery it is. Under the settings, so for this one, it needs to open and expand. Nothing happens, or it's going to open up the links that I have from here. You can also change up the design. So if, do I want the little icon on there? If not, we'll say no effect or no icon. Going back to there. Scroll animations if it's got that one. For this one, it doesn't. Image quality, we definitely want to keep it nice and large. If it's a video on there, will it play whenever I hover over it, or will it not play, or will it play automatically on click? Those kinds of things. And also if there's any problems like I'm experiencing now, maybe we need to contact the support. The main thing is, let's go back into preview again. Got all of these, I should be able to click on it, and it's supposed to be showing me up my, my preview of it. For whatever reason, hey, this isn't working, but I know it does work for my particular website. Tell you what, let's go to my website. If I've got this here, mine are set to not give me a preview, but if you go to my work and my portfolio, I've got mine actually going to a different page whenever I click on it. So this is going to take me to a separate page that'll showcase all of the media that I have. There they go, nice and scaled in from this one. I'm going to go back here. I think I know what the issue was. I was zoomed in. I'm going to zoom back out. Now when I go into preview, we'll click on it. Still not working. We'll get it back to later. Now the truth is, you can do all of this. You can start editing all the pages within your own website. To jump through each of the different pages, you can go to your menus and pages, and you can see here they are up here. Now by default, this is the one that comes to your actual theme that you selected. If you want to change the name of them, change the order of them, notice that, let's say I wanted my projects to come before my resume. I can click on it and drag it up, then automatically it swaps over to this particular page as well. I can click on any one of these pages and it will take me directly to that page, or if I wanted to, I can create other pages. I can add a page below it. This will give me a new one. Of course, I need to give it a name, so let's say this will be my charity page. Oops, let's do it all as, and hit done. It gives me a blank page as a starting point, and then from here I can actually add on more content. Sometimes you may not want to have a page to click on, but you actually want to have a drop-down menu of different stuff. For instance, if I have a variety of different projects, let's say I have my graphic design projects, and then I also have a portfolio for illustrations and a portfolio for workshops. Instead of doing a new page, I'm going to add what's called a folder. This folder, I'm going to call this my projects folder. Actually, what I'm doing, because I've already got one called projects. From here, I can have a sub menu of different things. So I'm going to put this up here. I'm going to make my projects. I want to hover over this and see that underneath here. So I'm going to click on this and drag it just to the right. You can see it goes down from here. So what this looks like in practice, we'll go back up to a preview. Let's pray that this works. Now I can scroll over what I'm doing. You can see there's my projects from here. Let's go back to the editor and add some more pages to this. So what I'm doing, I've got my projects. I can add another page. Let's say this page will be for my graphic design. Again, we'll add this one underneath here. And let's do one more page. This will be for my teaching page. And there's that one underneath here. Now that I've got it, I can go back to my preview. So what I'm doing, and I've got a different page for each one of these when I decide to click on it and add to those as well. Pretty cool? Here's the last thing I want to talk to you about as far as placing content onto your design. You want to be able to optimize it so that websites can find it best. One of the things to do is, if you've got any image, any really important image, is you've got to be able to describe what's inside of that. For instance, if I've got my profile picture right here, I'm going to select it and then go up to my settings. One of the settings that you can have is to add a tooltip. And so if you've got an important image, this tooltip will give a description of what's inside of here. And so I could say this is the profile picture, for Ben Ivy. Doing this also not only helps the website, search engines, but it also helps blind people who have to use, or print impaired people who have to use special devices to read websites, know what's on that particular content. So having this is the first step. The other thing you can do is to start filling out some of the SEO information to be able to find and quickly change up your website. To do this, you can go to your menu. On my home page, I can open this and you can see here's our SEO and settings. With the SEO, there is like a little whiz quiz that you can take for it, but you can also type in some other things. One of the most important things, if you're going to be found on Google, what does it look like once your site is found? Right now you're getting a little preview. So if I did a search for Mr. Ivy or Ben Ivy's website, here's the domain that they're automatically giving to me. Notice it's not my personal domain because I haven't actually connected that up yet. But I want to see a little bit more than this. So I'm going to add a title to my page. This title is what will show up in your web browser, your actual bar, but it's also going to be what's going to show up in your search results. So this is the online portfolio of Ben Ivy. Other things you can do is put like your location for it as well. So for this one, I'm going to do a little dash and we'll say Clinton, Mississippi. From there. Again, it gives you a little preview of exactly what this would look like in Google. If I scroll down, I can even add a description. So from here, Ben Ivy is a graphic design teacher. Dyslexia is strong today. Teacher based in Central Mississippi. He makes cool websites and awesome PowerPoints. Loves cookies. And go from there. But now that I've got this saved up in here, if somebody ever Googles me or my content, Google's going to find my picture, they're going to find my online portfolio. Here's what's going to be shown for this. There is some more advanced social search engine stuff that you can add to this. To be honest, I've not played around with this a lot, but you can add things like meta tags. You can add what's called JSON LD. This adds extra interactivity that you can use for Google. Usually you see things like this if you're a restaurant or if you're a business and you need to add your time that you open, time that you close, all those extra little things as well. The final thing is social share. If you're going to be sharing your content on different social media, you want to make sure that you're putting forth your best stuff as well. And so if I was to share this online, how would it know what picture to pick and pull from? Well, from here I can actually choose an image that I want to. I can choose one that's already there. I can choose any one of my other images, or I can choose my profile picture as my default one. So I'll say add to this. From here, this is going to be the picture that shows up either on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever comes online as well. You can also see the title for what social networks would be showing with this one. Now the final thing to notice about search engine optimization is that it's only applied to your home main page. But if If I try to click on any other ones, you can see it's not there. But keep in mind, Google's still going to look at all of these different pages. So if you've got pictures on there, make sure those pictures have tooltips. If you've got text, make sure you're using the appropriate header tags or paragraph tags so that people can quickly find the kind of content that you have. That's the best way to optimize your ability to be found online. The last thing that you're going to do, once you're ready to launch your website and put it out into the public, at the very top you've got a Publish button, and that's going to send it and update the content on Wix's server. Keep in mind, if you're using a free website, the web address that you're going to have is the basic Wix, whatever number that they give to you, name of your site. But if you wanted to, you could have your own domain, and you can register a domain. Wix does make it very easy to purchase and upgrade your domain. And so if you wanted to, you can click on Upgrade Now. This will take you through their entire website. Now, there is different pricing plans based on how they make money on this. Their best one, you can pay roughly $20 a month for their pro account. For students and for people doing just as a personal website, usually I would go for the unlimited plan. It's a little bit cheaper. Also, as a good tip, if this is your first time using Wix, they're going to send you tons of discount codes. Don't select the first one there. Hold off on doing this. Wait till they send you the 50% off code, and you can get that price down much, much better. Even when you select this, you can choose it to do it over a variety of different years. Usually the price gets a little bit better, or you can do it month by month basis. I won't go for this one, but the final thing it's going to ask you to do is to purchase a domain name. And this is where you can find your own www.whatever.com. There's lots of different websites you can purchase domains from. It does not have to be from Wix or Squarespace. Even Google has the option as well. One thing that Wix will do is give you a year of your domain for free. Usually when you register a domain, it's going to cost about $5 a month, depending on where you get your stuff from. Wix will give you the first year for free, then I think it's like $15 or $20 per year after that. It's really, really a good deal, so I would go with one of those as well. The last thing is, Wix does offer other little premium things that you can add, like getting your own email address, making your site secure, adding other little bits to those. I'll let you look into that to see the needs of your particular website. For me, whenever I look at my website, this is the kind of thing, again, I can go back and I can keep updating. I always want to come back to it. Google will crawl through websites and they're looking for fresh content, new things that will come online. And so if you're using your website, I highly encourage you to set a calendar date and upgrade your stuff every couple of months, at least, or if not, every once or twice a year, just to make sure your content is fresh and the people who are looking for you are also finding really, really good stuff as well. The final thing I want to leave you with are a couple of book recommendations. If you really want to dive in deep about marketing yourself, developing your personal brand beyond just a website or online, here's two books that I give to all of my students. The first one is The Designer's Guide to Marketing and Pricing. Now this one's technically out of publication, but you can still order used editions of it or a Kindle edition of it. Fantastic read, especially if you're a new student just entering into the marketplace. They break it down, make it very, very easy. It is geared towards graphic designers, but this translates well for almost any industry that you want to go into. The other one is Building a Brand or a Story Brand. This really dives in deep on how to clarify your message and how to reach customers and actually tell your own story. A lot of the things that I talk about, both in this presentation and even in my classes, come from Donald Miller's book. Excellent, excellent read to go back every couple of years and kind of remind yourself how to think about things differently. Hope you found this interesting. Again, if you need to connect with me, find me online, follow me on Facebook, Twitter. I even have a YouTube page where you can find more information and all of my tutorials online. I update this constantly. I hope to be updating my website again so that you can find and get more stuff as well. Love y'all. Have a great day.